All right. So you guys notice I've been making a bunch of shorts lately because, just wanted to make some. I made one about if a white man marries an Asian woman and they have a child, will the child experience white privilege? And people have been commenting and saying, well, there's no such thing as white privilege. So, it's not even, a matter of question. And I'm thinking to myself, what planet do you guys live on? Where do you live? Where you live on Mars? You live on Pluto, the planet Ziggy or something? Where do you live? Because here on this planet, white people control the whole planet. White people control the economic system. White people control wars. Because white people doing this. Listen. Okay, we've been at war for 240 years. Who has started those wars? White people. White people start those wars. Okay, so I'm just wondering where you got. I mean, most of our presidents, except what, two, have been white. I mean, and then Obama couldn't do what he wanted. And then the first president Hayes, and that wasn't under the Constitution. So the first president, according to you, was Washington. What are we talking about here? The majority of people in America are white. Okay, come on. There's only 40,000 black people. The people that were originally here were Indians. There's only 40 million black people. There's 2 million American Indians. There's only 2 million of them, and they were the original people here. They're wiped out. Okay, they're completely wiped out. There's 60 million Hispanics. I don't know how many Asians, and I forgot the number of Caucasians or white people, but it's something like 360 million. It's a huge number. But to say that white privilege doesn't exist, you guys are not even looking at countries even outside of America. It definitely exists in America, but looking at countries outside of America, you really see how white privilege is. I mean, but just inside of America, when we're looking at the police state that we're in, listen, the people who are being thrown in jail and getting these huge sentences, listen, that's black people. Okay? Listen, somebody argued with me and said, well, white people are going to jail more than black people. That's because there are more white people here in America, but they're not getting longer sentences. They're not gonna listen. They did. There was a teacher who did this excerpt on white privilege, and she said, "How many?" And she was talking to all white people, and she said, "How many of you will want to be treated like a black person?" And none of them raised their hand. None of them. You can't tell me white privilege doesn't exist. You can't. Okay. How many white people were hung by black people? I'll wait. Somebody come up with that number for me. Please present that number for me. Okay? These people who are saying there's no white privilege, you're not even looking at our history. You're not even looking at what's going on within the last 5 years. There were several people hung while Donald Trump was in office. And what color were they? They were all black. And they were hung. They were hung in jail, and they were hung outside of jail. One guy was hung in a schoolyard. Okay, I think he was 19 years old. Like, to say that white privilege doesn't exist. Look at the economical system. Do you know in some countries, especially in the continent of Africa, that it is so poor over there that there are Europeans that go over there just to have their way with small, boys, and then once they treat them horrifically, and I mean beat them and all kind of stuff, they just get up and they leave. And their economy is so weak over there that they can't afford the police to go out and try to get these people. And they go right back to Europe. They're called Mazungos. That's what they do. They come into the country, and listen, this is what makes this. I mean, it's just so terrible what they do over there. They know that the country is economic system is terrible because they're the ones who make it and keep it like that. They keep it so they can't fight. They keep it whether with disease, whether with money, whether with warring amongst each other. They keep it like that. So what happens is the people are so poor that they send their children out to the beach to walk along the beaches. Now, let's just talk about the beach for one. The beach is filled with fecal matter. It's filled with it. But these kids are walking along the beach. When I say kids, I mean 6 years old and up. And they're walking along the beach. You know what they're doing? They're waiting for a Mzungo to come and pick them up, take them to wherever they're going to take them, do whatever they're going to do to them, and then pay them. That's what they're doing. And when the parents can't do anything. Even when they went and told the police cannot go and arrest these men. Are you out of your mind when you say there's no such thing as white privilege? You're not looking at what white people have done on a whole. And it's not all white people, but the privilege is so real. Listen, there's some countries I can't even go to, and they're black people. There have been horrible stories about black men traveling to some countries and not being able to come back. I knew a guy who told me, hey, listen, I traveled to, I think he traveled to Jamaica, and the Jamaicans tried to hold him there. He was like, I'm an American. They're like, no, you're not. You know what they were doing? This is what they do to black men. This is what they do to some of these black men. And other countries do this. African countries do this too. What they do is they wait till you come over there, and then they take you, knock you off, and then take your passport, come over here and live as you. They live as you. Just to say that white privilege doesn't exist, you are completely ignorant. Completely ignorant. Okay, let's just look at the Dutch. Look at what the Dutch has done to some African nations. Leopold, he knocked off 15 million people in one country. It was so terrible because they told him, they say, hey, you can do whatever you want to do. 15 million gone just like that. Just like that. I mean, we're not even going to talk about what the English and the French have done. I mean, or the Russians. And right now, and listen, the AIDS epidemic that was started that killed 35 million people, you know who that was started by? The Dutch. The Dutch, and I think it was in the Congo. You know where the Dutch are right now? In the Congo. You know what they're doing? They're digging up diamonds. As a matter of fact, the diamonds are running out. They have a standing army there to make 9-year-old kids and their fathers dig in these holes for diamonds together. They work all day digging in these holes. It's one of the most dangerous jobs. And the Dutch are standing there with guns. Dig! Goodyear is in that same country. The company Goodyear, they're over there too. Dig! Child labor is a huge thing over there. Dig, you don't eat. And they get like $1 a day and they dig for like 16 hours. Don't tell me white privilege isn't a thing. Like, I don't have a thing against all white people, but those cunts I have something against. Yeah, those people I wish was wiped off the damn planet in an instant. But I don't have an issue with all white people. But those people who are doing that, I got a big issue with them. Huge. They're making those kids dig. They do whatever to the daughters. You're out of your mind if you think white privilege isn't a thing. And to think it's not a thing over here in America, just look at the jail systems. There are 2 million black men that are locked up right now in jail. 2 million black people that are locked up, and the majority are men. The youngest person that ever got executed was a 14-year-old boy. 14-year-old black kid. For murder he didn't commit. 14 years old, he didn't do it. Then you know what? After they burned this kid, they electrocuted this kid, they were like, you know what? We just found out he didn't do it. How about, if white privilege isn't a thing, how about the woman who said Medgar Evers whistled at her, and then he got his face beat in by 2 men who had 38s. They beat Medgar Evers' face in with the butt of a 38. Ah, Yeah, they crashed his whole face in to where they wasn't even going to give him an open casket, and his mother said, "No, show what they did to my baby." That woman is still alive. There was a warrant out to arrest her, and it was never served. We're just now finding out about the warrant. The lady's like 82 years old. They're not even going to press charges against her. That's not privilege. That's you. They just put Bill Cosby in jail. Isn't Bill Cosby in his 80s? He done more for America than most people ever would. They threw him in jail. Yeah, he committed a crime. Fine, he's guilty. He went to jail. This woman lied. Had a man murdered. He wasn't even a man, as a child. That's what she did. You guys are crazy if you think white privilege is not a thing. We're not even going to talk about all the villages that were all taken from black people that were prospering here in America in the early days. You don't want to talk about that. Seneca Village in New York. How about that? It was 75% black people and a 25% like Irish, and they were prospering. It was right there in the center where New York, where the last piece of green is in New York, right in there. It was right there. The whole village was right there. They had their own banks and everything. It was prospering. They came and said, nope. They said it was some kind of land contract or land something, and they took it away from them. Said, get out of here. They did that to so many towns that were springing up with prosperous black people. Even at Black Wall Street, the same thing happened. There were 3,000 people. 3,000 people in the city was prospering. They had their doctors, their lawyers. They had their own thing. And the white people used to sit across the street from them and call them names, throw stones at their kids. Used to call them names. And these black people were minding their own business. Boom. You know what happened? Some white woman said some black man whistled at her. It was more than 3,000 people, by the way. Thousands of people displaced, hundreds of people dead, a bunch of people hung. They can't even find all the bodies even today. And that was in Oklahoma City. Even today. You know why it got to be so terrible? Is because men who fought for America, United States Army men that were black, once they named the person who did the whistling or whatever that happened, these men who fought in the Army said, we're not going to let you hang this black person for something this white woman said. We're not just going to let you come in here and do that. And they armed themselves. Well, the white people said, fine. They armed themselves. A bunch of men came in and said, hey, let's get it on. They burned the city down. You think it was because of some black guy whistle? No, it's because they were prospering. There are other cities, the same thing has happened, but you know where they're at? Underwater. A bunch of these lakes that you guys like to fish and sail on. Yeah, there are whole cities under these lakes that you guys love so much. Whole cities. Whole prospering towns. Whole buried. Bunch of people dead, gone, slaughtered. There's no white privilege. Listen, white women used to attack black men in the open back in 40s, 50s, and 60s. They still do it today. But they used to just openly attack black men for no reason. That's not white privilege. When is a black man just openly attacking the white women and getting away with it? This is what these women used to do. They used to openly attack black men. Just black men walking down the street, a bunch of white women just openly attack them. You guys are out of here. It just irks me when somebody says that white privilege isn't a thing. And I've been living under white privilege all my damn life. And they're just like, oh, well, there's so many blacks who have prospered. Hey, listen, how many billionaires are there in America? It's a bunch of them, like 30 or 40 of them that are white. How many of them are billionaires are black? 7. There's 7. Matter of fact, look it up. There's like 7 of them. Listen, it's not even close to being even. It's not even close. Who owns most of the land in America? Actually, one person owns the majority of land in America. Bill Gates. And don't talk to me about white privilege. It's not a thing. Because I've been fired. I've been tossed in jail for no reason. The judge didn't even know why I was there. Just because I was. No, you're talking to somebody who's been living with it. I've been beaten up by cops. Uh, it- it- no, I've had guns pulled on me by police. No, don't hand me that. I've had just regular, ordinary people threatening. I'm gonna call the police because they know if they call the police, there's a good chance that the police are gonna shoot you because they're afraid of tall black men like me. They give you that look like you don't belong here. This America's supposed to be free. I'm supposed to be able to go where I want. I can't go where I want. You guys see these YouTube videos where black people are walking down the street. All of a sudden, a white person comes out. It's like, what are you doing here? It's a neighborhood. Yeah. It's my neighborhood. This just happened recently. And these kids were driving in the neighborhood where they had white girlfriends. White girlfriend. And a guy followed them. And he was an ex-police officer. He picked an argument with one of the kids and he shot him dead. Dead. A kid. Talking about he had to defend himself. He killed that kid. Don't tell me that is not a thing. I've been to some places and somebody walked up to me and said, you don't belong here. If you've never experienced that, then don't tell me about white privilege that it ain't real. Because I've experienced it. And I looked at the person who said that and I knew exactly what he meant. And I left. And I'm 6'2", I'm 280 pounds, and I'm strong as hell. But I know what I can endure and what I can't endure. And even the police was looking at me like, yeah, you don't belong here. They didn't say it, but I already knew it. I was like, yeah, y'all not hanging me. I called it a day and got the hell up out of there. Because I already know what it is. Just recently, there was a young man who had a white girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? White girlfriend there in their 20s. They hung that man. They hung him. Because they seen who his woman was, and she was a pretty woman too. Blonde head, just gorgeous. They hung old boy. And when they asked the sheriff what happened to him, the sheriff said that man got what he deserves. That's not white privilege. They hung him. That was recently. They hung him strictly because he had a good-looking white woman who was his woman. He wasn't just doing stuff to her. They were together. That was his woman. The police have been known to do this. There are several cases where the police have done this. This one guy was dating the police chief's daughter. They hung him. Caught him on his way home from work. And they hung him with the shirt that he was working in. Took it, wrapped around his neck, tied around the tree. That was it. End of investigation. It's it. Don't tell me white privilege ain't a thing because it is. It's very real. White people don't have fear of being hung or being Ahmaud Arbery chased down in the street and shot to death just for walking around in a white neighborhood. I do. I have that fear. I have that fear. I sure the hell do. Ahmaud Arbery walked into a house that was being built. So what? Camera saw him. He didn't take anything. He was fascinated by the construction. He didn't have no long rap list of criminal things that he done. And at one time he was arrested. It was a false arrest. It was a false arrest. Came out of the store. They said he stole the TV. He was like, I didn't steal anything. Well, like, you stole this and that. He was like, no, I didn't. I have receipts. Ahmaud Arbery said, I have receipts for what I have. They arrested him anyway. And the people that killed him were from the police force. Man jogging down the street. Oh, and he has a gun, which legalizes people to shoot a black man when somebody says, "Oh, we think he has a gun." All of a sudden, kill the black man. He has a gun, which is legal. He can legally have a gun. We're legally allowed to carry weapons. This is America. Black people can't have no weapons according to some of these crazy white people. We're legally allowed to carry weapons just like white people are allowed, and just like every other nationality is allowed to carry weapons. But oh, you call the police, oh, he has a gun. Yeah, he's probably allowed to have a gun. Ahmaud Arbery did not have a gun. He wasn't armed and he was jogging down the street. And they surrounded him and shot him broad daylight with a shotgun. And now the goofballs who shot Ahmaud Arbery are crying about what jail they want to spend their time in because they're not getting out of jail. Don't tell me white privilege ain't a thing. You people are ridiculous. I live with it every day. Every day. I got to deal with white people. I look and I don't know who's friend or foe. Heck, I'm afraid of some black people too. Don't get it wrong. Don't get that wrong. But I can usually, this is a bad crowd. White folks, you really don't know. Because you want to just believe everybody's good, just good people. But you really don't know. What happened to that girl at that party? She's the only black woman there. Yeah, in her pajamas, where the rest of them had that sleepover. What happened to that black woman at that party? Everybody, bunch of corporate Americans. Yeah, she went to a party, spent the night, she woke up dead. And that was it. No investigation, she's dead. How about the 24-year-old black girl this year? Spent the night with the one guy. Police came and investigated him, who was the only person who had anything to do with her. What did the police say? They let the guy go because they said he was a nice guy. This is your only witness, is the only person who had anything to do with this 24-year-old black woman. He was a nice guy. What happened 2 weeks later? Same thing. A woman was basically bludgeoned, had blood coming out from every orifice of her body. And the only white guy there, it said, nope, we're not going to arrest this guy. They're just now arresting the girl who killed Obum Seli. She was out for 4 months. They didn't arrest her for murder. They didn't even arrest her for manslaughter. Not even manslaughter. Manslaughter is we know you did it, even if it's an accident. Just like vehicular manslaughter. If you get in an accident and somebody dies and you were the person that was deemed the cause of the accident, it doesn't mean that you killed this person on purpose. It's an accident, but they did die. You can get involuntary manslaughter. Some people go to jail for it, some people don't. There are celebrities who, there are a few celebrities who caused somebody else's demise. They never went to jail. Brandy is one of them. I think Halle Berry is another one, and there's a couple other ones out there. Somebody died from the car accident that they were in. It's still manslaughter. They didn't even give this woman, they didn't charge her with anything. She took a deadly weapon, which was a knife, and she stabbed him in the neck or in the shoulder somewhere, and he bled out. And she claimed self-defense. It took them 4 months to arrest this girl. 4 months. Don't tell me white privilege is not a thing. It's a very real thing. And white women especially use white privilege to their advantage. When they get to screaming or they start to crying because something doesn't go their way, they're doing that because of white privilege, something that's been around for the longest time. A white woman cries, people die. Oklahoma, 3,000 people dead, gone, misplaced, or hung because a white woman cried. Medgar Evers, white woman cried. There have been men who've been locked up doing 25 years because a white woman cried and told a lie. Hell, I was going to date this white woman. She was like, yeah, let's go. I said, listen, I'm afraid of you. She's like, I understand why. And I wouldn't date her until she admitted what the hell this, is going on here in America. And she's like, look, I'm not even that type of person. I said, but you got to understand my position. She said, I understand. And once we had a decent conversation, we were able to date for a short time. But nonetheless, she ended up being a very cool person. White woman tears are very powerful. You see this even today. There are still black men being locked up because a white woman told a lie. A lot of these guys are superstars, football players, basketball players. You always got to look out for the white woman when you're one of these in a top echelon and you're making, all this money. Because if things don't go your way, a white woman can say something and next thing you know, you're under investigation. Which usually means you're going to pay your lawyer out a ridiculous amount of money. And sometimes it's the lawyer who sends the white woman after you. You don't believe that? Look at the Chris Brown case. Chris Brown was set up by a lawyer. Look, Chris Brown went out and got a lawyer. His lawyer went and got a white woman and sent the white woman to his house during a party. The lawyer did that because he wanted to be famous and he wanted to get more money out of Chris Brown. The lawyer did it. Like, don't tell me white privilege ain't a thing. She turned around and tried to sue him because he saw that she was taking stuff out of his house during a party and he kicked her ass out. And she made up this whole lie. So Chris Brown has to defend himself in court. He's already the bad boy. He's just like, what are you talking about? I didn't do nothing to this woman. I kicked her out because she was stealing my watches. And all kind of stuff. She went there just to cause mayhem. That was it. Like, get real. White woman tears is a very, very real thing. And they get black men killed. White privilege is a very real thing. And you're looking at somebody who's been dealing with it all my life. All my life, I've been threatened by white people all my life. In one way or another, I've lost my job. And listen, the majority of my meat I get along with. But there's always one out there who wants to start some mess. And it's always over racism. It's not over something that's equal, like a deal gone wrong. It's always a racist person out there that wants to start some ish. So don't tell me that it's not real. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that it is very real. I've been around white people all my life. And I got respect for the majority of them that I know. But there's always that one that wants to pull out the white card. And when they do, as a black man, you are automatically the underdog. If you get in a fight with one, and I'm talking about mano a mano, some of these guys do this. Some of these guys want to pick a fight with you because they know when the police roll up, even if the police are black, we've seen this happen. We've seen this happen on several occasions. If you look on World Star, you'll see a bunch of this. Two guys get in a fight. One was black, one was white. The police come and break it up. They wrestle the black guy down and arrest him. And they stood the white guy up and start talking. They didn't even put their hands on him. They just stood him up and started talking to him. So they tell him, hey, what's going on? They just stood the white guy and start talking to him. The black guy's down on the concrete. And the white guy's the one who started it. I've been dealing with stuff like that all my life. So, yeah, white privilege is very, very, very real. It's very, very, very dangerous. And listen, look at the Black Lives Matter people who tried to go up into some of these old hick towns talking about Black Lives Matter. They had one guy come out and shoot one of them in the face. Came out, bang! Shot this guy in the face and was not arrested. And the Black Lives Matter people said, we could have killed him. And they were like, well, we know. Well, let's just have a conversation. What's the conversation? He shot one of us in the face. The way I'm looking at it is they should have shot that old man back. They should have shot his ass right back. Because you're not going to get any. You think that old man is in jail right now? No, he thinks he has white privilege. He thinks he has the right to shoot a black person and walk away. How about the Asian guy who shot the 9-year-old boy who was riding around on his little bike, and he just happened to ride on the sidewalk and go up into his little parking space. The Asian guy shot him through a door. That Asian guy arrested, he shot a child. I would have burned that guy's house down with him in it. I would have. It wouldn't have been me. He wouldn't have got off. They let him go. And then he walked his house like nothing happened. He would have got his ass lit up. You shoot my son? Yeah, okay. I'm going to jail. Yeah, I remember the video of you getting into it with the two guys with the refrigerator. Yeah. The one guy pulled a knife on me. When the police showed up, they didn't even care. They didn't care. I'm like, these guys punched me in the face and pulled a knife on me. And the only reason why that didn't go anywhere, he was like, yeah, well, you can press charges, yada, yada, once, everything opens up because now it's COVID. I was like, are we in a combat state? Are we in a fair combat state? Because these guys are still threatening me, and now there's three of them. One guy came out and he's like, yo, I'll take you on. I want some of that work. I was like, let's go. And they were like, they're looking at me and they're telling me to calm down. Like, no, we don't. I'm like, these guys are threatening me. One of them is armed. The other one assaulted me, but y'all are looking at me. And I told him, I said, you guys, you know these guys. These guys are your homeboys. Because this whole thing ain't even fair. You're not saying nothing to them. You letting them run at the mouth. And they're standing there jaw jacking, three of them, and it's just me. And I'm like, you don't even know. I invited all three of them to get it on. I'm like, well, let's go. They were like, no, you need this. I'm like, yeah, see, you guys don't want to see me smash any of these little punks, but you want to let them sit up there and jaw jack and pull a knife on me and punch me. And, my $100 is gone, and I got a piece of crap refrigerator that don't work. So I catch the losing end of the deal. But, you're telling me to calm down. Somebody who hardly ever gets riled up, but I got punched in the face and my $100 are gone. And I had a knife, I'm like, and these guys are still threatening me. I'm like, nah, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That's why I asked the police, I said, is this fair combat? Because if this is fair combat, these guys keep running out the mouth. Why don't you let one of them come down here, or you can let two? Let them come down here. Let them come to the street. We can get it on. And if I lose, I lose. But at least I call for fair combat. That is a thing. A lot of people don't know that. See, you can go to jail for assaulting somebody. But if you're in a fair combat state and and the police are there, you can ask the police to fight somebody. And if that person agrees, the police can sit there and say, okay, this is fair combat. Do you agree? Do you agree? And boom, you guys can hash it out and nobody goes to jail. And it's like in Game of Thrones when one person calls for a champion. When they're just like, I don't know, what is it, trial by combat or whatever. That's their legal system. Like, I want somebody to be my champion. You can do the same thing. I called for fair combat. I was like, is this fair combat? And they didn't. And the thing about it is the cops, I don't even think they knew what I was saying. I looked right at both of these two cops like, yo, is this a fair combat state? Like, you should understand what that means. They didn't even know what I was saying. They didn't even answer me, because if they would have said yes, I would have said, yo, choose your champion. There's three of you. I'll take two of you, because they were saying, look how big you are. I'm like, if you were worried about my size, then you wouldn't have punched me in the face and tried to rip me off. That's not somebody who's worried about somebody's size. So I'll take two. Let's go. That was the original plan, right? You guys punched me. I didn't punch you. You guys got my money. I don't have yours. So I backed off into the street and you guys pulled a knife. I was going to give you the fair fight you wanted in a 2-on-1. I was with it. You guys are in your 20s. I'm 50-something. Come on. How much advantage do you want? I'm on your side of town. See, that's what I'm saying. White privilege is a thing. 'Cause when the police rolled up, the police were definitely on their side. And I realized that. And I was like, you know what? Let me take this refrigerator, see what I can do with it, and bounce. And I took it, I cleaned it up. I tried to fix it, but I couldn't. And I lost $100 on it. After that, you told Ohio is, yeah, it's racist. It's a racist place. You know what I mean? Especially here, in Columbus, there have been more police shootings here in Columbus than anywhere else. There are more black people have died from police shootings here in Columbus, Ohio, than anywhere else. I mean, listen, they used to ride down the street in Ku Klux Klan outfits. They used to have okay, there was a Martin Luther King parade every year that they had here. It's like 25, 30 years ago. And we would come out in droves, black people. And it would start from the courthouse downtown and go all the way up to Fifth Avenue, heading towards OSU. So there'd just be a lot of black people out celebrating, being black and just, watching the, cars and just having a good time. But what the police would do, zero in trade situation should have went exactly fair combat. What the police would do is they would tell all the black police that you can't be in the area from Fifth Avenue to the courthouse. So you would see no black cops. None. You would see a state police because they have to watch the state building, which is right downtown. But you wouldn't see any black cops. None. And it'd be all white cops and they'd be all harassing you while you're riding. They'd be looking in your car and looking like this, trying to start stuff with you. And then the coup de grace for them was they would dress up in Ku Klux Klan outfits and they would get on a float and drive down the street and call you names. Or there'd be like 20 or 30 of them on the back of a float yelling at you. Yelling and pointing and yelling at you while this is the Heritage Day parade. This is our day in a Klan, in full Klan outfit. There's no mistake. These were Klan members, hoods, robes, Grand Dragon, the whole nine. I've never seen nothing like that in my life. And they'd be pointing at you and, threatening you and blah, blah, blah. And nobody could do a damn thing about it. Not one. Not one. You try to raise up on any of them, trust me, you were going to lose your life. It wasn't going to be jail time for you. They were going to, listen, they killed a kid that I knew and they put him on the state lawn. They killed another chick, a Black Lives Matter chick. She's 28 years old. She was found floating down a river. And that happened 2 years ago. And I knew that kid. He was 24 years old. I knew him. They don't play here. So yeah, I couldn't get my fair combat on. I ain't got nothing. I don't need to be fighting, but shoot, I was with it. You know what I'm saying? I was with it. I didn't know if I was going to win or not. All I knew is, I was going to break one of them. I was going to break one of them. I mean, they was they were scared. They didn't expect me to, recoil after I got hit. I was like, oh, and I backed off into the street and I was like, yeah. Came that knife, that was it. That was it for me. I wasn't trying to get stabbed over $100 refrigerator. But I wanted to get the work in. Even if they friend would have came out and got it in too. I see, I can take some hits. I can take some hits. And my whole thing is, I'm gonna get one of you. One of you is going to get something broken on you. That's my whole thing, and that's what I would have told him. Listen, one of you, I'm gonna catch one of you. I'll lose the fight happily, but one of you is gonna come out worse than me. Tony, you bench 300. They would have been. Yeah, I bench more than that now. But that's what I'm saying. Why start a fight with somebody my size if you ain't? I mean, I'm not a Mike Tyson or nothing like that, but why look at me and Like my neighbor, this asshole, he keeps thinking he can just keep doing stuff and it's not going to catch up with him. But he don't want to meet me outside of this premises. He'll talk all the stuff here. But, one day he was leaving and I was behind him in my truck and he didn't want to drive off of the premises. He was afraid to drive off of the premises because he knows better. He knows if he gets caught at the store, if he gets caught anywhere where I know I'm not going to lose my partner, he knows he can't face me in fair combat. He knows it. He knows it straight up and down. He knows he's not going to win. He does not have the skills to beat me. He knows it. But why mess with me? That's what I don't understand. Like, I'm not going to walk up to Mike Tyson and sell wolf tickets to Mike. I can't beat Mike. Why mess with me? And this dude is still doing the same stuff. He's still messing with me. I don't understand it. Like Stanley's from Friday. Yeah. Like, I don't. Dude done threatened me that I'm going to get the gun or the knife. I'm like, I throw it into his face. You are a little punk bastard, is what you are. Real men don't do this. Real men don't go and scratch up somebody's car and then run and hide behind their girlfriend. Men don't do that. Men take it to the streets, get it in the streets, and let that be that. Men don't do stuff and then run and hide. Women scratch up cars. That's what women do. Men, we get it in. We settle it and it's done. But you're a little hoe. You've been doing this for years. You're just a little hoe. You're the best at running, out of your house in the middle of the night, doing something and then running back in the house. Who's got time? Like, I'm trying to sleep. I ain't got time to be up trying to catch your goofy ass. That's what he wants. Ooh, look what I did. Like a couple of weeks ago, he tried to, flatten one of my tires. I'm like, this dude doesn't know that I'm going to pull his jaws apart. And he doesn't understand the level of assault that's going to happen to him if it gets too bad. He doesn't realize that I know I'm going to go to jail and just sit there like, yeah, there's nothing I can do. Like, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to hurt you really, really. Look, I'm going to hurt you permanently. You think you're about to get in a fight. That's not what's going to happen to you. That's not. We're not going to fight. That's not what's going to happen to you. You're going to get mangled. It's what's going to happen to you. And you're not going to be able to see. You're not going to be able to talk. You're going to be sitting in court, and you're not going to be able to respond. It's going to be bad for you. I'm telling you, because you're making me so mad over some dumb stuff that his girlfriend said over a damn lie. Swinging and hitting there in the house in front of, like, just a punk ass dude. And nobody likes a sissy. Nobody likes a sissy. Nobody. Any real man just can't stand somebody who's just a punk. Like, you've no respect for anybody like that. Like, leave somebody alone or get it in. Get it in. But I mean, it just like my neighbor. If he did this to my neighbor would have probably shot him. He'd have shot him, and I wouldn't have blamed him. But I'm not to go out and shoot somebody type of dude. I ain't trying to kill nobody out here, but I'm just one of those dudes who you can't leave me with some peace. Every year, all the time, you got to keep messing with me. It's just I'm at my wit's end. It's not even going to be about that. I'm not trying to kill the dude, but I just want to catch him one good time because I'm tired of it. You trying to flatten my tires on my good truck. You've been messing with both my trucks. It's just a level of disrespect now. It's the violation. It's years of this. I mean, you ruined my plants. It's just coming to the point where After years of this, I can't take it anymore. And the police can't help me because they can't catch him. This dude comes home from work, runs in the house. It's to the point where I'm just trying to keep my cool, but I come outside and see something else wrong with my trucks. I'm just like, one of these days, man, I'm just gonna blow my stack, and I'm trying not to do that. Oh, you black? He's black. I'm trying not to do that. I can't move. I can't move right now. But anyway, back to white privilege. Yeah, so you people who don't believe in white privilege, you got to understand that white privilege is a very real thing. Very, very, very real. I don't understand how somebody can say white privilege. Yeah, what it do? I don't understand how somebody can say that white privilege isn't a thing when the United States has the largest standing army that there is. Excuse me. No, they don't. The largest standing army, I think, is North Koreans. I think it's North Koreans, but the United States has the largest equipped army. And they spend the most money. Their budget is $560 billion on military equipment. So, and then when you look at our competitor, Russia, who has the most nukes out of anyone, you're like, where do they get all this money from? They get all this money from ripping off other countries. That's where they get this money from. Like, let's be real. Like one guy said, some white professor, he said, the Europeans will never let Africa prosper. Now, Africa has got some rich, got some nice cities in it. But when they're talking about each country in Africa, like they'll never stop getting the resources out of Africa. They'll never allow the Africans to fully control the resources there. They're never going to do that because they want to always keep control. He said they're not going to do that because if they do that, then they'll lose control over the resources. This whole thing about Africa, pretty much sustaining themselves and all this other stuff. So they're like, no, they'll never do it. They'll never allow the Africans to not or to be able to control these resources. Now, when you look at Nigeria, and I'm going to kill this, man. When you look at Nigeria and all these other countries in the Congo and where they're getting all these gold, diamonds, and all these other resources, as soon as any president, like, okay, for one, all of those presidents are controlled by by the CIA, pretty much. Gaddafi, CIA. Bin Laden, CIA. Saddam Hussein, CIA. Cartels, CIA. They're all controlled by the CIA. Don't get it twisted. Any king or any president over in those countries, they're all controlled by America. They're all controlled by the CIA. If they don't want to deal with you anymore, they make up some farce and then they go and invade you. We've seen this happen over and over again. Over and over again. All of those who I mentioned, majority of them dead. Because of Gaddafi wanted to change something that had to do with oil. They were just like, nope. So they went and killed Gaddafi. That was it. Saddam Hussein, same thing. Over oil, nope. Boom, go and kill him. It's the same thing. It's all controlled by the CIA. Same thing with these Africans, over in Nigeria. Nigeria is one of the most corrupt countries in the whole world. Why it's corrupt? CIA. The CIA. And if you don't do what the CIA once done, they cut off your visa. Now, for those of you who don't understand getting your visa cut off, your visa is basically what allowed you, for one, to do some trading, but it also allows to bring like healthcare and all type of aid and weapons and all that stuff. Plus, it will stop you from being able to travel. So if they cut off your visa, they cut you off from the rest of the world, the rest of the civilized world. And you don't want that. You don't want your whole country to be cut off from the civilized world, because what are we looking at today? We're looking at the war in Ukraine. We think it's over uh, something that is completely not. It's all over wheat. It's them destabilizing the world is what it is. And you're like, oh, the Ukrainians, let's fight for the Ukrainians. No, that's not what's going on. This whole thing is over. Listen, YouTube doesn't even pay me anymore. They don't pay me because I said something about the war. Where have we seen this before? We've seen the same thing before. Anyways, I'll talk more about this on another time. I'm out.